Hello and welcome. We start with a live look over downtown Buffalo. We have a mix of clouds and some sunshine, still a little chilly for just a bit longer, and then we will have milder air coming in. And welcome to Storm Team 2 Beyond the Forecast. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Stanonis.
And I'm Maroney. Hi.
We're going to take you through all of it again.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I was in for Patrick for the latter portion of daybreak today. And when I went out on the roof, yeah, it was a little chilly, but we were right in the sunshine. It actually felt really good out there.
It does bump it up a little. It makes you feel like it's a little warmer too.
Yeah, so even though the temperatures today are pretty much exactly what they're going to be yesterday, it feels so different out there.
And that sunshine and bumping up these low temperatures. So we're going in the right direction with temperatures, highs and lows. Before we do just dip down a little bit, we still have another little wave of some cooler air. But for the most part, we are continuing to enjoy milder stretches with just little dips in those temperatures. Right now, we do have mostly sunny skies out there. We'll have clouds increasing, and high pressure, though, over our region will help fizzle out any of these snow showers off to the northwest. So we should maintain those dry conditions today, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Just probably see the cloud coverage increase at times is all. Temperatures right now, we're in the low 30s and temperatures in the upper 20s areas south, and we'll continue to at least have those winds a non-issue. So wind chill value is not feeling too much cooler, basically in those 20s across our area, some low 20s for those wind chill values. So we have a nice look outside downtown right now and across our area. Just some of those clouds increasing at times is all. Those high temperatures running mid to maybe even some upper 30s, and then low temperatures, not as chilly, will be in the upper 20s, right around 30 degrees for overnight lows and to start your day off for tomorrow. All right, for today, mix of clouds and some sunshine and a few more clouds moving on in, but some partial clearing. We'll continue to have that at times into tonight as well. Wednesday, we're starting out dry, and we actually should maintain a dry day and into the evening as well. It looks like any showers that are moved through should be now pushed off to late night, overnight, maybe into early Thursday morning. Looks minimal though, mainly dry morning commute on Thursday. We'll get a dry break in there for at least a good chunk of the first part of the day, but then a better chance of seeing widespread rain coming in during the afternoon on Thursday and into the evening. Does look a little soggy for at least that Thursday evening commute. So note that probably take us into the overnight hours as well. We'll have that boundary coming through, even some heavy rain at times. It ends though as more of a little wintry mix potentially late night and early Friday morning, but then we'll actually have all that clearing out for the morning commute, even those clouds as we head through into the afternoon. So it looks like a fine finish to the week with some sunshine. It'll just be cooler behind that front. So again, best chance of return of some rain. Looks like the bulk of that happening second half of Thursday and into Thursday night. And looks like rainfall totals half an inch to maybe an inch plus potentially, especially for those areas south. So we'll continue to update you, but just heads up, it's going to be soggy and we're going to get some rain for our area. We are going to be cooler, continuing that at least through tonight, but still already temperatures not quite as chilly. And then we'll have that milder air coming in, temperatures nicely in those 50s. Especially as we head into Thursday before we will have some cooler air coming in. So we're milder, especially tomorrow and Thursday, but then we'll have the cooler air dropping down once again for just briefly Friday and into Saturday. So temperatures highs today will be in those mid to upper 30s, maybe even some 40s south, so a little bit better. And especially for those low temperatures tonight near 30, we are warming up for tomorrow. Highs you can see across the area near to around 50. And then especially Thursday, it does look like we'll be well into the 50s, even some lower 60s potentially as well, and south maybe a little warmer. So it's going to be a warm day on Thursday, but then that front moves through and we will have cooler air for Friday, starting the day off in the 20s, and high temperatures probably only reach in those mid to lower 30s. So here we go. Still that roller coaster ride a little bit, but we're going up right now. So we'll continue to have that Wednesday. Thursday, those temperatures running once again above average by 5, even 10 plus degrees. So kind of peaking with that warmth on Thursday before we do drop again for Friday, probably bottoming out there. And then Saturday, still those 30s, but getting closer to 40. And then temperatures increasing again Sunday near 50. So Second half of the weekend does look better, although overall it looks pretty good. And then as we head into next week, looks like temperatures will be on the increase once again. So that's some good news, maybe a little longer stretch of the warmth. So your weather headlines, we'll have some of those clouds tonight, not quite as chilly, and then cloudy for your Wednesday tomorrow, milder, and then a few of those rain showers moving in. Looks like later night, overnight. Better chance of some of the widespread rain coming through on Thursday and warmer. So even though we're continuing to have that Lake Erie ice coverage decreasing, when we get these little brief bits of cooler, chilly conditions, we do notice a delay and maybe just slight increase in the ice coverage. But for the most part, we're trending right around 7% right now with that Lake Erie ice coverage. So minimal, and we'll continue to see that dwindling away. The rest of today, we'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine, just a few of those clouds increasing is all. High temperatures near 40 tonight, comfortable enough. Low temperatures near 30, upper 20s. So we're about average with our low temperatures, mostly cloudy skies. And then tomorrow, high temperatures will be above average, near 50, around that. And we'll have those clouds increasing, thickening up. We'll have rain, it looks like not until later at night. And low temperatures near 40. So that warmer air will already be coming in, surging in for even Wednesday night. Overnight, Thursday, those high temperatures increasing nicely, even closer to 60. Even some 60s south. We'll have rain, widespread rain coming through, especially the second half of the day and into Thursday night. And then we cool down for Friday, but at least we'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine for that Bison's game, the home opener, Friday afternoon, 1:05 p.m. So we'll have sunshine for that, but it will be chilly. So note that, those temperatures for game time in the mid-30s. And then this weekend, we'll have maybe a few nuisance snow showers Saturday, otherwise mix of clouds and sunshine. Just cooler. Those high temperatures continue to be in those 30s, but at least getting closer to 40. Sunday, looking rather nice. Partly sunny skies, milder high temperatures nearing 50. So note, it's opening weekend for Bison's games. So we're going to have afternoon games both Saturday and Sunday. It's a little chilly for Saturday as well. Sunday, though, looks like those temperatures will be increasing in those 40s with some sunshine. So that does look like a pretty nice day for that. And for maybe some spring cleaning, maybe go for a little hike. Sunday looking very nice. Monday and pretty much into next week, we're going to continue to have that nice stretch of warmth. At least temperatures will be trending at least at or above average for the most part. And we might be tracking a system or two, but for the most part, it does look pretty quiet over this next week. Really the best chance of any substantial rain looks like it could be for later Thursday and into Thursday night, with a little bit up and down with our temperatures, but at least we'll be warming up and maybe sticking with that for a little while into next week. And so far this March versus the average, well, we have been up and down. However, check it out. The average for the month, 32.7 degrees. This March so far, though, 37.9 degrees. So we're 5+ degrees above the average this month. And snow so far this month, 4.5 inches. We're well below the average at this point. And pretty much for the month, just about 12 inches on average. So overall, we are continuing to go in the right direction. Spring is here. It looks like it, feels like it, even with these little dips. We have these average temperatures continue to go up all week, and we have temperatures to finish off the week. Those highs will be set 46, low 30, longer daylight hours continuing. The sunrise getting closer and closer to 7 a.m. Sunset now getting closer and closer to 7:45. And then April begins next Wednesday. So the averages are continuing to go up. And then we're going to be actually high temperatures near 50 and low temperatures now trending at freezing and above. So that's some good news. I know I keep looking at the calendar. I'm like, what? April already? Next week? That means, then we have Easter and then Dingus Day and all the fun.
I know. I keep getting so surprised whenever people are like, "Oh, it's looking better for April." I'm like, "Oh, that's so
we still got
far
some time."
out.
Like, wait, didn't we just start March?
I know, but it's really not. It's coming up quickly.
I do feel like this time of year, especially, it's like holidays, and then for spring, it's like you just are just, I don't know, feel like a catapulting into warm season, which isn't a bad thing.
You know, I do think it also helps that Easter is generally earlier this year. Like it's not March early, but it's pretty early in April. So it is kind of helping push things. I know a lot of people have vacations. Spring break. There you go.
So yeah, it's pretty much already here. So we're going to start looking at those forecasts.
Absolutely.
Spring break forecast, Easter forecast, all that fun stuff. So we're almost there.
Yeah, and as we're kind of, talking about spring, as we come back, I'm going to kind of talk about some maybe misconceptions that we have about spring and what spring really looks like.
Okay, we'll be back. Welcome back. Yay, spring. Lauren, it's like one of my favorite seasons, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people hate on it.
It's just because you're like just going towards summer. So that's only up from here, you know?
No, that's true. I mean, I always like to kind of advocate for spring. Maybe it's just because my birthday's in spring, so I just want to like it more than I do. But we're going to talk about spring, some of the misconceptions maybe people have about spring, debunk some things. When I was planning for this, I was like, I'll call it spring myths. I think that's a little bit dramatic. But so just for clarification, when I'm talking about spring, I'm going to be talking about a lot of like averages and trends, and I will be using a lot of the meteorological season data. So that will be March, April, May, even though obviously we just switched to astronomical spring, which does trend a little bit further, where we started in late March, and then that continues through late June. But just for record keeping, that's why we kind of have different meteorological and astronomical seasons. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about will be meteorological because that makes things a lot easier. Okay, so a lot of people think of spring as the wettest season. We talk a lot about, spring showers, the idea April showers bring May flowers. But is it really the wettest season? So if you take a look at how our March has been, it has been pretty wet. But I mean, this year has been far above average when it comes to precipitation. Typically, at this point in the month to date, we should have about 2 inches of rain. But we've had over about 3 3/4 inches of rain. We've had some pretty soggy days. You see those are the ones in the deeper shades of green, over 1/2 inch. We even had a day that was over 1 inch. So it's been a very soggy month for us. So you would think, yeah, I mean, maybe spring is our wettest month. Well, it kind of depends on where you are in the country. So let's break it down. So the wettest season, when winter is the wettest season, that is actually all the way on the West Coast for Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, California, and oddly enough, Alabama. This one was kind of weird. I mean, it's pretty close with winter and spring, but it does shake out that it is winter for Alabama. But typically for these western states, that's because when we are in the winter, there's more of a dip in the jet stream and high pressure that tends to keep these western states a lot drier in the summer months, kind of gets away, and they don't have as much of an influence from that. So then they can really start to see those systems coming through, and that's where they get the bulk of their precipitation. These have the kind of the biggest disparities when it comes to the seasons, because a lot of these seasons were pretty equal, even though some obviously do favor others. Now, spring, you head a little bit further west, you have Montana, Wyoming, and Utah, as well as these states that we do typically think of as those that get a lot of the severe weather. They get that influence from the Gulf, and that is why they have probably a wetter spring because of that. So, Alabama was very close when it comes to that area for spring being their wettest season. But summer really feels like the big winner across most of the country. I mean, we have all of the other areas in Tornado Alley where, you continue to see that severe weather. But then also for most of the East Coast, New York included, New York State, I'll talk about Buffalo in a moment, is summer. And when you think about it, it does make sense. Obviously, we're warming up. We get a lot of those storms that we see in spring, also in summer. And summer is just warmer. And the warmer air is, the more moisture it can hold. So that just means the more rain can fall when you do have rain events that happen, which happen pretty frequently in a lot of places in summer. Also worth noting, summer gets around that peak hurricane time. So a lot of these areas, you have Texas, Louisiana, Florida, a lot of the East Coast, you can get some pretty impressive rain events from the summer. You can also get them in the start of fall, but summer, kind of the big winner. So around the country, that is the wettest season. And then actually autumn, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, that is their wettest season. They're all pretty close with either spring or summer. It's pretty equal around the Northeast in general, but for them, it is autumn is their wettest season. Now, I kind of threw in these maps just because it's kind of interesting. Sometimes it's very equal when it comes to the percentages for the seasons. Other times it's not. Obviously winter, very big on the West Coast, but a lot of our areas, we do still get a decent amount of precipitation. Spring, you do kind of see where those wetter spots are. advancing it then to summer, again, just kind of across the board. That is our wettest month, our wettest season, at least across the country for most of us. And then autumn, typically not too bad, but again, it's not quite summer. But now let's take a look at Buffalo specifically, month by month, the precipitation that we get. And your eye should probably go to September and October. Those are our 2 months that on average get over 4 inches of rain. And if we want to look at spring, I mean, yeah, we have some pretty consistent, 3 inches into summer, also 3 inches, but really that September, October area is where we are seeing most of our rain. And if you want to break it down by the seasons, again, we're going with meteorological season for simplicity for me adding, because doing the daily amounts would have really stressed me out. So for winter, just over 9.5 inches, pretty much the same for spring, just 0.2 of an inch more for summer, and then autumn, yeah, 11.6 inches. So that is 2 inches more of rain in autumn than we get in spring. Again, we're talking averages. Any given month, any given day can be different. But for us, it is far and away autumn that is our wettest season. And now why would that be? Especially because, across New York State, it is summer generally. That would be our wettest. And a lot of that has to do with kind of the microclimate of Buffalo and the effects of Lake Erie. We talk a lot about lake effect, specifically as it pertains to snow, but it also helps to produce rain, especially in those months where we are transitioning, like in autumn, to cooler weather. We can still get cooler air coming from Canada that is coming over the, at that point, relatively warm water, because we will have just had summer. So it's still going to, cool. The air that is coming over the lake is still going to, condense, and we're going to get those clouds, and we're going to get a good amount of rainfall. So that's why September and October are actually going to be our biggest rain months in general. Another, I'll call it kind of myth about spring is warm. It's warmer. It's coming off of winter, so we do think of it as warm. And again, if you want to take a look at what our March has been, it has been well above average. I know Jen just showed you the numbers when it comes to the averages. These are the numbers when it comes to what the highs have been. So our average of the highs that we've had so far in March, 46.5. What it should be, again, month to date, 40.3. And this is actually a bigger disparity than what Jen showed you of the averages, because our highs have actually been higher. It's our lows that have been closer to hitting what the average is. So there's a greater disparity among the highs because we've been hitting those highs, but also been hitting those lows. But if you want to take a look, again, these are the averages when we're looking at the months meteorologically speaking. I hope you can see that yellow. I can see it, but I don't know how well it's showing up. But for spring, the average, again, I did the average of the high temperatures because I think that's what we like to think about, and it does give kind of nicer numbers. 54.6 is the average throughout those 3 months of spring. But then autumn, 59.9, which is almost 60 degrees. So yeah, I mean, in general, if we're looking at the months, kind of the way that we think about them with March, April, May, and then September, October, November, representing spring and autumn, autumn is the warmer month. It is coming off of summer. It carries a lot of that heat into summer. September specifically can be a really warm month. And then just out of comparison, it's just a lot of this comes from the seasons that they're coming out of. Again, summer, the average high temperature, 78.3. Winter, average high temperature, 34.2. I think what also kind of adds to that misconception that we have with spring being warm, or sometimes why we get mad that spring isn't warm enough, is because, I mean, when I showed those March calendars, actually I'm going to go back to the March calendar if I can. Yeah, I mean, we had early March, 60-degree days, 70-degree day. We had a lot of really mild days. And when you get those mild days, especially when you're really sick of winter, you really latch onto that. You get used to it quickly and you get excited. So then when we have days like the 19th, this is the one day where we were average 43, that 43 still relatively feels cold because you're just sick of the cold at that point, even though it's not that bad. A lot of our colder days haven't been that far below average. You know, I was talking to some of the people in the newsroom today and they're like, why are you saying that this March has been above average? It feels cold to me. Right now we're kind of in the cold, but again, on average, it has been far above what we should typically see for March this time of year. Just trying to advance my clock. And then severe season. So, you know, Obviously, we talk about spring being severe season. I covered this quite a bit, but really what it comes down to is that other areas of the country are starting to see that severe season. And we saw that really when it comes to the areas that see those greater amounts of precipitation, those areas closer to the Gulf that are going to have that severe weather. But for us, yes, we can get severe weather. Specifically in spring is when we will start to see it. You know, we had a tornado warning a couple weeks ago when I was working, but it really doesn't kick in until the summer for us.
Yeah, July, August. But yes, we can get them a little earlier and a little later. And I like how you're showing the map about typically we think, oh, we get a lot of the rain in the warm season, but actually West Coast, it's in the winter.
Yeah.
And that's when they get those atmospheric rivers and getting all that precipitation. And then in the warm season, it's like they can go a month or two with just sunshine and dry conditions, which doesn't help with the fire
those
season
disparities create like a really big issue, specifically on the West Coast.
And then your March map is showing, it's like, no wonder it feels like we've been such a roller coaster because we only had like 1 or 2 days where we hit average.
Yeah, there was
only time we've been above, below, but it's just
there was only one day that was actually average, and then it just makes all those colder days feel all the worse.
Gotta love March, up and down. All right, we'll be back after this break. Welcome back. I love this visible satellite imagery because look at this. You can see the little bit, just that 7% left of ice cover right on the eastern end of Lake Erie by Buffalo. And look at that southwesterly wind. You can see it kind of getting smushed a little toward Buffalo and down through Hamburg. So that's why sometimes even we're going to have a little warm up tomorrow and the next day, when you get that southwesterly flow, you have the just a little cooler right near the shoreline.
Yeah, I think that's
downtown.
what also gets so frustrating to people about spring, because especially if you look further inland, you do see those warmer temperatures. But for areas like Buffalo, you know, Hamburg, when you get that westerly wind, it's still coming off very cold water, and that really does knock down those temperatures.
Yeah, because technically still at the Buffalo location for the Lake Erie water temperature, we're at 32, and you can see why. We still got a little bit of ice cover there. So at least this is currently 7% ice. We're going to continue to have it decreasing, though, as we'll have temperatures tomorrow 50s, maybe even near 60, some 60s
especially
inland and south.
Further inland, away from the lake.
And on Thursday, so that'll also help continue to break up, thin up, and melt, hopefully the rest.
Yeah, I think that ice is pretty much done for at this point.
Next week, I think by the end of next week, we should be back to zero.
And you know what? We'll probably check in on that next week.
We will, yes.
But for now, you know, Patrick and Kevin are going to be doing Beyond the Forecast on Thursday. We're taking the day off tomorrow, but have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in.
See you later.